All right, we got another Ask the Trainer question. I wanted to talk to you about one of my dogs. He's a good dog, but he is unbelievably clingy and up my ass 24/7. I don't think I can handle it anymore. Help. All right. Well, we got to talk about a bunch of different things. Most importantly to me is, what does the dog's day look like, right? Does the dog follow you around all day? Does it practice being alone? Which one is happening more than the other, right? So if the dog is following you around all day and you're giving it attention for following you, then it's going to get used to that. It's going to say, hey, I'm just going to be my dad's shadow and I'm going to get some kind of acknowledgement. Usually people are baby talking to their dog, which is a problem because it kind of creates anxiety instead of direction, instead of clear communication. So number one, we want to talk about containment, like just practicing being by yourself, right? So I recommend a place command. Place, I usually like to teach an elevated bed or a doggy bed, and a crate command, going into a crate. A place, an elevated bed or a crate are probably the best tools you can have inside of your house, right? In these two tools, I wouldn't even close the door on the crate unless you have never done any of it and you got to practice it. Or I wouldn't necessarily tie the dog down to the bed unless, again, you've never practiced it. But you want to practice duration and distance, meaning you want to practice how long you can keep the dog on it. Every day you incrementally bring it up. And distance, you want to go away from the dog, right? You want to be able to go outside. You want to be able to go into another room, and the dog stays in the crate, stays in the place. A few other things to consider is a lot of people ask me about keeping the dog on the bed. Can the dog sleep with me on the bed? Can the dog come with me on the couches? I don't mind it. I think it's fine if you like your dog's behavior. If you're happy with who your dog is, if you're happy with how your dog acts, then yeah, give him free range. But if I had a clingy dog or I had a dog with anxiety, I wouldn't do that. I would teach them to self-soothe, to self-cope with being alone. And usually what we do is we cut out the bed and the couches. And then later, if it becomes easier and you see that the dog's anxiety and clinginess is going down, then you can invite them on your bed. You can invite them on your couch, right? A few other things that help a lot. So you definitely want to train, right? You're going to train duration and distance. That's probably the most important thing from this video. But you also want to increase exercise. And increasing exercise, again, doesn't have to be like running or throwing a ball, but just increase the way of exhausting the dog before you bring it inside the house, before you put it in a crate or a place. This way it's already doesn't have any energy to create anxiety within itself. You also want to stimulate its mind during the exercise, right? You don't just want to make them run or make them walk in a straight line. That doesn't really do much for their brain. And most importantly, you want to desensitize your dog to your movements, right? Too many people like get up from the couch and you see the dog just like take account. And then if you go in the kitchen, they follow you in the kitchen. But if you go and turn the light off and on, they just kind of like get on alert. We want to stop all that. How I do that, again, is I teach them to put on a place and in a crate. And we teach distance, duration. And then that's the last D, which is distraction, which is you are the distraction, you're moving. And you want to practice all those things. And then the distractions can be anything like using a Bluetooth speaker with squirrel sounds, bouncing balls inside of the house. You bounce them, the dog has to stay put. You want to do all these kind of behaviors that teach your dog, hey, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, you still got to stay put in your place. Now, I also want to say that for anyone to practice these behaviors is completely rewarding and proactive for dealing with other issues outside in the world, right? When you're teaching a dog to self-cope and to be still, it actually keeps the dog a lot more confident. It keeps the dog grounded. It keeps the dog understanding that you will take care of it and doesn't have to worry. So it's a great practice for all of us who love our dogs very dearly. You want to practice having the dog self-cope, self-soothe, and being by itself. All right, bye-bye.